Jordan Mailata and Avante Maddox will play on Sunday night against the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott probably won't. Who's going to win? I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. What's up, guys? Thomas Mott here. Welcome to the Thomas Mott Show on a Saturday morning. We are approaching 24 hours until Eagles versus Cowboys, one of the biggest matchups of recent Eagles history, at least in the regular season, seemingly one of the biggest fights, at least so far, in the National Football League year, and a lot of question marks going into this one in terms of health, in terms of which team is better, and which team needs to win this game a lot more. And so as we always do here on a Saturday edition of the Thomas Mott Show, we get you ready for this one. We'll go to the injuries here in just a couple of minutes. First, though, we're going to go through one of the 5 big question marks, Eagles versus Cowboys, that are floating around the ether right now as we get ready for, again, a giant matchup that people are going to talk about a ton next week, win, lose, or draw, depending on which team comes out on top. We'll finish with our National League story of the day, looking ahead at the other NFL games, the ones that matter to the Philadelphia Eagles or are just really interesting in general. Without further ado, though, let's go ahead and start with a really interesting article here from Bleeding Green Nation. I've used this sort of template article that they do on Bleeding Green Nation the past couple of previews because they basically go to a writer for the Cowboys, normally another SB Nation writer, and ask them 5 questions and 5 answers with the enemy. And so we'll go through the questions, we'll react to them, and see what they think and what I think about the Dallas Cowboys facing the Philadelphia Eagles. Here's the first one. What's the confidence level in Cooper Rush? He hasn't exactly been lighting the world on fire. He's obviously undefeated as a starter. What does he do well and not so well? And as normal, we don't read the answer there. I give you my reaction to this. I talked about this in the show a couple of days ago. Cooper Rush is nothing special. Now, this is not to discredit Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush is obviously a very capable quarterback, even starting quarterback right now in the National Football League. He's won 4 games so far this season. But when you go through the actual numbers of Cooper Rush, as we did on the show just a couple of days ago, the proof is in the pudding. He's not going to light you up. He's not going to beat you, with his arm. He's not going to go ahead and throw for 4 touchdowns and 400 yards. If he does against the Philadelphia Eagles, that's a massive red flag on the Eagles season. He is a guy who is not going to make an error. Very rarely throws an interception throughout his entire career. He's not going to, give the football up with a fumble. He's not going to make bad throws or bad mistakes. He's going to hand the ball off and make a couple of third down throws a game and hope that his defense wins it for him and he doesn't lose it for them. And so this whole idea that Dak versus Cooper Rush and, oh my gosh, if Cooper Rush keeps winning, Dak Prescott is going to be the starting quarterback no longer the Dallas Cowboys is ridiculous. The Cowboys offense has been very mediocre. They scored 1 touchdown last week against the Rams. They need to get Dak Prescott back if they want to have any shot at being decent this year. But right now, as we will talk about in just a couple of minutes, Dak is not going to play in this one, and so you have to give at least a little bit of the edge to the Eagle defense. The Eagle defense should be able to, 1, get after Cooper Rush, and 2, hopefully force Cooper Rush into making a couple of bad throws. It seems to me the key to this football game will come down to how Jonathan Gannon calls the defense for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think a lot of people out there would agree, you load the box and you play Tony Pollard and Zeke Elliott. Those are the 2 players who could potentially beat you, and I don't think Tony Pollard and Zeke Elliott are really that good anymore, especially Zeke Elliott. Pollard has his moments. He had a nice, 80-yard run against the Rams last week. But as you go through, again, the numbers, if you're able to stop them and force it to be the Cooper Rush and CeeDee Lamb show, Philadelphia's defense should 100% be able to eat. We'll talk more about the offense in a second, but defensively, if you just want to get to the cliff notes of today's show, Jonathan Gannon calling this defense, loading up the box, bringing some extra pressure, letting those elite cornerbacks be one-on-one with the receivers of Dallas, to me, is going to be the key to victory for the Philadelphia Eagles. Next one here. How would you grade the job of Mike McCarthy? Has he put the talks of Sean Payton replacing him to bed, or is it still about what happens in the playoffs? Mike McCarthy is nothing special, and even Cowboy fans, even the most diehard Cowboy fans will admit this. Mike McCarthy is not going to coach to win you a football game. If he loses a football game, it could be due to the fact that he does a very poor job coaching, and so no fear about Mike McCarthy. I think Philadelphia has a much better head coach, and I think Nick Sirianni is trying to go ahead and prove that by upping the ante in terms of winning against the division. That's the big knock on Jalen Hurts and Mike McCarthy right now, Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni. They haven't really done a great job, albeit in a year and a quarter, against opponents in the NFC East not named the Washington Commanders. Number 3, what's the Cowboys' biggest strength? How should they be attacking the Eagles? The article mentions it. I'll say it again here. The Cowboy defense is good. It gets spun as elite, and you look at the numbers, it is very close to being elite. They're fantastic at rushing the passer. Their linebackers aren't bad, but they're not that great. Their cornerbacks are a little bit lackluster, not named Trayvon Diggs. They have good safeties, I would say, but this is not a defense that should absolutely terrify you. Now, is it going to be hard to move the football against? Sure. But again, even though I have the Eagles shirt on and the Eagles stuff behind me, I try to be unbiased when I say this. It might not sound like it, but Philadelphia's offense should be able to move the football. This is strength on strength. Right? The Rams, let's just take it for instance, last week, the weakest part of the LA Rams, the entire Rams football team is their offensive line. So naturally, you take a really good defensive line, Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, you put them up against a bad offensive line, and what do you know? Matthew Stafford ran for his life, he was getting hit a bunch, he was getting sacked a bunch, and that was the big reason why the Rams offense was unable to do virtually anything. The weakness of the Philadelphia Eagles is not their offensive line. The greatest strength of the Philadelphia Eagles is probably their offensive line. Like, it should be a scenario where Mike and DeMarcus Lawrence will be able to get theirs. They will be disruptive. But in the end, Philadelphia should be able to run the football. They should be able to match up in one-on-one pass rush opportunities and give these elite receivers of the Philadelphia Eagles a chance to work on Trayvon Diggs and a chance to work on the Cowboy linebackers. To me, it seems like we talk so much about this Dallas defense, and you hear it all this entire week about how great Micah Parsons is. They're giving no love and complete disrespect to the Eagles' offensive line. They are elite. They are that good. And if Philadelphia can run the football as they've been able to do, look for the play-action pass with Jalen Hurts to open up one-on-one down the field against the Cowboys secondary that is good, but it's not elite. I take Philadelphia's any day of the week. Who wins and why? Okay. Do I get my prediction now? I guess I will. We'll have a lot more here in terms of injury stuff and DeMarcus Lawrence running his mouth about Jalen Hurts. Philadelphia's going to win this game. Now, it might be lower scoring than people are realizing. I don't think it's going to be that low scoring, though. I think 27-20 or maybe even 27-17 is going to be a fair score. I am still bought into the Philadelphia Eagles until they prove to me that the formula they have so far this year is unable to win or has some sort of, holes in the armor. I'm going to keep buying into them. I think the offense has been fantastic. They can run the ball if you, play coverage. They can throw the football if you go up against the run. They've been great in terms of pass protection, albeit a couple of sacks that you kind of roll your eyes about, but they've had a beat-up offensive line. They're going to be healthy this week, by the way. And then defensively, they match up well against anybody, and they have one of the best front fours in the entire National Football League that apparently everyone forgets about because we're so excited about Micah Parsons and the Dallas Cowboy defense. And so I, of course, think Philadelphia is going to win. I'll go 27-17. Let me know what you guys think down below right now here as we keep rolling on. Before we get into the injury report, thumbs up. Just go ahead and thumbs up. Why? Because the YouTube algorithm loves it. For whatever reason, give this video and this show a thumbs up. I would appreciate it. If you think the Eagles are going to win, you might as well do it as well. Okay, let's move over here to the final injury report. Obviously, things can change between the time that I shoot this video, that I record this video, and you guys watch the video, and so maybe Sunday afternoon we hear Dak Prescott can play, but rumor has it that is not going to go ahead and be the case. I think this is the best injury report that we are going to go ahead and have. Here is the best news of them all. Looks like Jordan Mailata and Avante Maddox are both going to go ahead and be able to play. Nick Sirianni also sounded optimistic about Andre Diller's chances of playing against Dallas, as he is close and has a, quote, good chance to play this week. And so now you'll have a really solid backup offensive lineman. I mean, Jack Driscoll's filled in admirably, but a solid backup offensive lineman if Mailata were to rumor, heaven forbid, get banged up or not be able to go. But as you look over here, he should 100% be ready and be able to go. He was not on the injury report at all. This is the Friday injury report. There is no Avante Maddox. There is no Darius Slay. There is no Jordan Mailata. There is no Landon Dickerson. There is no Jason Kelsey. They all practiced yesterday. All of them were out there, albeit, a little bit here and there in terms of being limited, but they were all out there, meaning they're not on the practice report. Philadelphia seemingly very healthy going into this game. Sure, they have some, little nicks and bruises and stuff, but that'll all be resolved hopefully after the Cowboy game going into the bye week, but Philadelphia very healthy. Dallas, not so much. You did have people pop up on the injury report this week. CeeDee Lamb is dealing with a hip injury. He's going to be fine, but he at least was limited in practice this week. He's questionable, but he's going to play. Jason Peters, who ran his mouth a little bit earlier, talked about that in a show a couple of days ago. He is questionable, but again, should be able to play, albeit as a backup kind of swing option there at the left guard spot. And then Dak Prescott. And the update on Dak Prescott is that all indications are pointing to him missing this week's game, according to Bleeding Green Nation. He certainly did not take full starter reps to prepare for Philadelphia, they say. Those instead went to Cooper Rush, who is likely to start on Sunday. I guess it'd be interesting to see if Prescott is kept active as a backup in case of an emergency. He's going to throw more today and throw more tomorrow, especially before the game. But it does seem like if he was going to play, he would have gotten some starter reps earlier on in this week. And honestly, you just keep riding Cooper Rush until Dak is 100%. And we're not Cowboy fans here, but we can at least be, unbiased and say the Cowboys' best option is to go ahead and wait for Dak Prescott to be 100% healthy instead of rushing him back and having having, Hassan Reddick hit his hand and set things further back. And so I am saying Dak is not going to play. It's seeming like everyone else is saying Dak is not going to play, but the good news is Jordan Mailata will, Avante Maddox will, and Philadelphia is going to be as healthy as they've been, at least so far this year, going into the game against the Dallas Cowboys. Let's quickly just mention DeMarcus Lawrence's take in terms of Jalen Hurts. This was an interesting, do you call it bulletin board material? Maybe it's the most bulletin board material Philadelphia has had all week going into the Dallas Cowboy game. David Moore has a good tweet right here via Bleeding Green Nation. We'll throw it up on your screen. DeMarcus Lawrence, when asked if Philly quarterback Jalen Hurts is playing better, has he played us? Lawrence asked. All right. All you need to write is B hasn't played the Cowboys yet, so we don't know how good he is. Lawrence also added that the Eagles' offense would be a good challenge, arguably the best they played this season, but also we them boys. Gosh, that's so annoying. Lawrence said, remember that, don't worry about it, y'all will see it Sunday. And so, is it a shot at Hurts? Sure, but it's more of just him being confident in the Dallas defense. And again, I'm not trying to downplay the Dallas defense. They have been very good this year, but Dallas has not gone up against a true strength-on-strength opponent in terms of matching up against them well. Everyone always says the NFL is about matchups, and so when you go back to the Rams game last week, the Rams matched up very poorly against Dallas. Bad offensive line, great defensive line. It was very clear, right? A team that also couldn't run the football against a defensive line that if you can run on them, you really slow down the pass rush. That happens with every team in the National Football League. Now, DeMarcus Lawrence and his, cocky Dallas Cowboys are going up against arguably the best offensive line in the National Football League with Jordan Mailata, with Landon Dickerson, with Jason Kelce, an explosive rushing attack, one of the best in the National Football League, and an Eagle team that had all of that last year, but they didn't have the elite receivers on the outside, Avante Smith in year 2, and obviously A.J. Brown, who hopefully is going to have a Batman-type performance. All right, let's go ahead and wrap up today by looking at some of the NFL games in our National League story of the day in terms of what matters, what doesn't for Philadelphia, as well as just looking ahead in terms of the rest of the NFL. 49ers Falcons, this is one where you obviously root for the Atlanta Falcons. Everyone keeps saying San Francisco is your biggest threat right now in the NFC, and so whether that's true or not, I'm still think the jury's out a little bit, but you definitely want the 49ers to lose as much as possible for home field advantage. I think Philadelphia is very much, at least 5 weeks in play for home field advantage. Only one spot, number one overall seed, gets that instead of the top two, and you saw in 2017 the difference that it makes. If you are able to have home field advantage, you don't play the wild card round, obviously, and then you just play 2 home games before the Super Bowl, and so you root against the best of the NFC East. You definitely go for the Falcons, although probably not going to win at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Don't care about Browns or Patriots, although it looks like Mac Jones is finally going to go ahead and be able to play in that one, and so maybe that gives the Patriots a chance. Jets and Packers is fascinating. You root for the Jets here, who are very much the best Jets team we've seen in a long time. This is almost a must-win for Green Bay. -7.5 at home in terms of the sports betting thought on that one. Everyone thinks the Packers should win this, but I thought the Packers were going to win last week against the really banged up and receiverless New York Giants, and they lost. And so if Green Bay loses, the sky might fall out of Wisconsin, and the drama on the major media outlets on Monday is going to be hilarious to watch. Jags-Colts is a battle of a very terrible division right there. I would take the Jaguars on the road in that one. Indy -2.5. They've just not been able to score. And the Jaguar defense, not that great against Philadelphia, but they're pretty good against everybody else. Vikings-Dolphins, again, no Tua Tagovailoa. It looks like you're going to go ahead and have a chance to see. I'm not 100% sure who they're going to go with at quarterback here. Bridgewater was in concussion protocol, still was in that a couple of days ago. Are they going to go with him or the rookie? We will see, but you root for the Vikings. You root for the Dolphins for the same reason you root against the 49ers, because you don't want the Vikings to be a 1 seed. Bengals and Saints, you guys know we are Bengal fans through and through here on the Thomas Mott Show, because the Eagles have the Saints' first-round draft pick. The more losses for the Saints, the better, and it will not be a Jameis Winston start for the Saints at quarterback. It will be the Red Rifle, Andy Dalton, which is good news for Eagle fans. Ravens and Giants is very interesting, right? Maybe I'm a little bit, unfair to the Giants, because I keep thinking that they are not a true 4-1 team, although you did beat the Packers last week, and so I'll give credit where credit is due. If they beat Baltimore, who was a 5.5-point favorites at the Meadowlands on Sunday, I think we got to officially be a little bit worried about the Giants. Now, I think Philadelphia matches up well. Talked about matchups, all show today here on the Thomas Mott Show, but if the Giants are able to beat the Ravens, then you might have to give them a little bit more credit than I have been. Bucks and Steelers, Tampa Bay -9.5. Is the Steelers going to be that bad this year? Because they look terrible and were awful against the Bills last week. Panthers, Rams, no Matt Rule. Will it matter? Probably not. The Rams get back on track. They're 10-point favorites. Shows you how bad the Panthers have been this year. Seahawks, Cardinals, Arizona, they're going to be without a lot of their main players. James Conner, who was injured in the Eagle game last week, he is not going to go. I think Seattle at home was a real chance for the Seahawks to put a 2-4 for Arizona would be a rough start, and the drama before New Cochran comes back could be real. The big one of the week is obviously Bills and Chiefs. That's the one on CBS. It's going to get a lot of hype and a lot of drama before Philadelphia's game. This, to me, is a real good option and a really good chance for Josh Allen to pull a Jalen Hurts, right? The whole knock on Jalen Hurts is that Jalen Hurts is unable to beat the Dallas Cowboys. At least that's one of the knocks right now. Same goes for Josh Allen. Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the league until he plays the Kansas City Chiefs, and for whatever reason, they can't win. I'm hoping for a big Josh Allen revenge game here. I hope the Bills are able to win. Hopefully it's a good game, but it'd be very exciting to see the Bills finally get that Chiefs monkey off their back and get the W. And finally, you must suffer through the Broncos on Monday Night Football again. Maybe this is the week the Broncos look good, but unlikely to be the case, although the Charger defense has been horrible this year. And so maybe, Broncos country, let's ride with Russell Wilson, can finally start riding into actually scoring points and not looking terrible in front of everybody on the primetime stage of a national audience, which was obviously a terrible idea based on the fact that the Broncos have been horrible this year. All right, there you go. There is the Thomas Mott Show on a Saturday. The next time we will talk will be before the Eagles and Cowboys game. I'm going to jump on and do a little live Thomas Mott Show, probably Sunday afternoon, so be sure to go ahead and subscribe. And if you hit the notification bell, then you can be notified whenever I go live on that one. So come hang out and get ready, a little pregame show, and then we'll react to it afterwards. Hopefully a big Eagles win, hopefully 6-0 heading into the bye. That would feel very, very good. I'm Thomas Mott, and the Thomas Mott Show. See you guys.